Tell us about your organization. What does it do?
My name is Keith Johnson, and a little bit about our organization is at the base of what we do, we're a mentoring, character development, and a life skill program that services youth in Los Angeles, generally from the age of 5 to 14 years of age. We have a real specific outcome, and that is to try to decrease the number of kids that are dropping out of high school, try to increase the awareness of the need for health and fitness, and really try to bring back some of the values that was part of our community with young people. And the mechanism that we use is sports and recreation, particularly the sport of youth football.
This conference was about the dangers of concussions in youth football and youth sports in general. What does your organization do to kind of meet those concerns?
In a nutshell, educate and implement. We have three primary groups that we have to educate. So in order to make sure that we begin to address the issues of concussions, we have to educate the parents about what not only is that initial concussion hard hit is, but cumulative trauma. We have to educate the coaches in regards to what to look for, signs and symptoms. And then we have to educate the kids themselves to have the ability to articulate when they feel like they're not themselves. And then the biggest challenge becomes the actual implementation of it. We have parents who just want their kids back on the field and don't want to go through the process of going to the doctor and following the instructions. We have coaches who just want that player on the field. And then, of course, we have kids who want to compete that don't actually talk about what challenges they're currently suffering as a result of a hit. So our challenge is education and implementation of the information that's out there about concussions.
There continues to be a lot of pressure in terms of winning at all costs, which is kind of a sad mentality in youth sports. What is your organization doing to kind of combat that thinking process?
Well, one of the things we've done is actually, in order to combat this whole winning at all costs, is really to adapt something that I learned at the LA 84 training, and that is to remove the we compete against concept as opposed to we compete with. That our goal simply is to give you an opportunity to have a positive place for recreation. We understand, according to the numbers, that only 1/3 of our kids will even go on to play high school football. That, in essence, we're simply here to have fun. And so we have to put the emphasis on having fun as opposed to simply trying to win a football game. And you can implement that by also, even in your practices, maybe the kid that's not the fastest, not the strongest, allow him to play running back or allow him to play quarterback or allow him to play receivers. So we'll take some of the emphasis off of this ideal of putting the quote-unquote best kids in the best place. Put some of those kids that have lesser talents in that place to reduce the ideal of all we're trying to do is win.
Give me a couple of things that you feel can be done to improve the game of the whole experience for kids that are involved in youth sports right now, particularly in tackle football.
Well, the first thing we in order to kind of make it more enjoyable for the kid is we remind everybody that outside of the children, we remind all adults that it's kiddie ball. At the end of the day, it's kiddie ball. Whether they're 6 or whether they're 15 or 16, it's kiddie ball. So everybody stay calm and relax. The second thing we do, really, to make sure it's more enjoyable for the kids, is at our annual parent meeting, we tell our parents there's one thing you cannot do. You cannot be the coach on the way home. At the end of football practice, it's over. Did you have a good time? Great. No coaching, no pressure on the kids, because a lot of kids are not enjoying the game because the parents are so actively involved. Stop being the coach. Stop putting pressure on the kids. Now, the other thing is on the field, let's have some equal playing time. Let's allow this. There's a term in youth football called must plays, which means we must play that kid. Now, all kids must play, but we kind of really designate which kids are the ones that really must. We got to get them on the field. Well, let's coach those kids up. So if you have a kid whose skill set is not that great at the beginning of the season, the goal should be to increase his playing time because we've taken time during practice to build his confidence, to allow him to play more. And if we can have more equal playing time for kids on the field, then that will also allow them to have more enjoyable experience while playing that game.
Southern California Falcons offer tackle football beginning at age 7?
Actually 6.
I'm 6.
Gearing towards 7.
Okay, so Dr. Cantu today gave his personal opinion that it should be 14. what would be your response as to why you may not adapt that?
Well, one of the reasons why I may not adapt the ideal of having tackle football begin at the age of 14 is because it will literally completely eliminate youth football. Tackle football at the age of 14 means basically what we're really saying is we don't think kids can play tackle football until they're in high school, and every other form of football should be flagged. I mean, that's the real message. Um, I can't adopt that because of a couple of reasons. Number one, I am clearly aware of the risks. But I also think with education, with training, with setting your program up in a proper manner such that you reduce the amount of contacts that occur, that you take out man-on-man drills, that you can greatly reduce that. It is said that 80% of the injuries occur at practice. Then we can make practice safer. That's number one. I think we can increase the safety. Number two, there are some social things that we cannot wait until they're 14. We're trying to break some of the bad habits. By the time a kid is 14 years of age, he's developed some habits that may haunt him for the rest of his life. And unfortunately, in our community, they don't have those positive role models that's going to speak into their lives and teach those boys or those girls the proper way. Football will force our kids, good or bad, right or wrong, it's going to force our kids to do their homework before they come to practice. If not, they're going to do their homework at practice. So by doing that as habitually, it's going to develop a habit. Football in our program, good or bad, is going to teach kids how to deal with emotions. A lot of kids have been labeled, you have anger problems. Our kids don't have anger problems. They don't. Anger is a secondary emotion. It's not a primary emotion, but they never learned how to deal with their primary emotion. They don't learn how to deal with hurt or pain or rejection or fear. And so boys and men roll it over into anger, and so they think the only problem that they have is controlling their anger. No, the problem they have is touching into their emotion. But it's going to take someone to teach them that. Mom's not going to teach them that. Dad can't teach them that. He's not around. So for us, football is a holistic thing. It's not just a sports thing. Our challenge, however, is really, sir, finding coaches who buy into that. That becomes a real challenge. But if you have that as a tool and as a mechanism, we can and has changed lives such that when they get to 14 years of age, not only are they ready to play football at a higher level, they're ready to be a student at a higher level also.
You're a unique organization. You're a unique individual. What kind of cultural shift needs to take place within youth football so that others buy into this philosophy that you have?
The shift that's going to take place for others to buy into philosophy, the greatest teacher on this planet some would consider would be a man by the name of Jesus. And he went around and he performed miracles after miracles after miracles, and he had crowds after crowds after crowds. And one of those settings, he said, you don't come to me for the words that I speak. You come to me for the miracles that I perform. You don't care anything about what I say. You just want the miracles. And you know what? That was okay, because the miracles at least got them there so the seed can be planted. It's the same thing with us, sir. We have people come to us over and over again wanting to know, how do you get this? How do you get that? How do you get this? How do you get that? And I say, I'll teach you how to do it, but you need to implement this, implement this, implement this. At the end of the day, what it's going to take? It's going to take us meeting the needs of that organization with a carrot. You need more helmets, we'll help you get more helmets, but these are the things that we need for you to do. We're going to monitor that you do that, and hopefully by doing that over a 2 or 3 year period of time, that program will understand why they need to do it. It's sad to say. No one's going to wake up, very few people are going to wake up and say, Keith is right, let's do that. Let's be real clear. When we started doing this in the Snoop Dogg Youth Football League, and I'm not ashamed to say it, we were ostracized. We were laughed at. We were literally kicked out of the league. Never had a fine, never had a violation, but you know what? We just didn't do what everybody else did, and they thought we were better. They said we were better than everybody else, or we thought that. So they kicked us out the league. Those same people now come to me and say, yo, man, can you help us do what you do? Not because they really want to do it, but because they want their kids to have those gifts. Okay, I'll show you how to get Rydell helmets, but you need to show me this year that you're going to implement an educational program. And if you don't implement an educational program, then I won't show you how to get Rydell helmets next year. So we need to actually give in order to get, to be honest.
You advocated for the creation of a kind of a new conference of people and organizations that share the same philosophy that you have, and a philosophy of looking after the kid first, winning second. How practical do you think that is?
Well, I think the idea of establishing a new conference is very practical. And one of the reasons is that people are looking for a place where they can go that meets the needs of the community and will meet their objectives. Coaches are bending the rules because they think they need to do that in order to compete on the field. Presidents are looking the other way, not because they really want to look the other way, but they think they need to do that to compete on the field. I won't have an organization if I don't win. And if I don't win, kids won't come. And if kids won't come, I won't have an organization. So I'll just look the other way. Even though deep down inside, I don't want to do it. Deep down inside, sir, I don't want to have a 6-year-old football team. I don't. I think they should be started at 7, maybe 8. But if I don't have 6-year-olds playing, next year they're going to get mopped off the floor by 7-year-olds who have 2 years of experience. And so if we had a league where we met the objectives that we all believe in our heart and it's across the board, that would fly. But not only would that fly, but we'll also have the ability, as academia wants, to actually begin to document, create empirical data to show that Bobby Hosea, tackle-free, head out of the tackle works. We have the empirical data to show that if you eliminate kickoffs and you eliminate punts and punch returns, that it reduces. You have the empirical data to show that if every conference, if 10 teams in a conference is reducing the amount of time that they hit and they're using this thing and this thing as alternates, then you can sit back and go to the NFL or to major corporations and say, not only have we reduced it, we have the empirical data to show it. Then you can tell the parents, listen, in this league, we've reduced injury by 75% because we do it this way. And it will force other organizations to do it. I'll say this and I'm done on that note. Several years ago, I had an issue with uniform companies, sir. They were simply charging way too much money for custom uniforms, tackle tool in particular. I had an opportunity to make a contact with somebody in Korea, and they began to make tackle tool uniforms for me for $20, fully loaded tackle tool, okay? We were presenting this to different organizations. Ironically, there was a salesman from another organization that was presenting his stuff. He didn't even bring his jerseys out. He said, there's no way I can match that guy, okay? So we have a conversation afterwards, and I said that one of two things is going to happen in the industry. Either A, I'm going to become the next greatest uniform manufacturer, which I don't want to do, or B, you guys are going to begin to bring your prices down because there's another alternative. And what happened as of this day, sir, you can get a fully tackle tool uniform from a major manufacturer for about $28. Somebody has to be willing to say, it can work, let's make it work, and then everybody else, as they say on the street, will bow down and do what we need to be done.
One last question, the referee issue. What's the cure here for the referee issue in terms of having only one governing body that provides the referees and they're using CIF standards when they're dealing with peewees? What's your suggestion there?
My suggestion is, as far as the referee issue, is real simple. First of all, we need to train our own. Alongside of whatever referee association that's out there, we need to have junior referees also who's learning that game right along with the other referees such that we can begin to teach them. Okay? The second thing is we need to have a referee association that's simply committed to youth football, not taking referees who have learned the rule of high school ball and bringing them down to youth football. So if we can have an association that is simply dedicated to youth football rules and regulations, and making sure that the ultimate call is not the call whether he scored or didn't score, the ultimate call is whether he played safe or didn't play safe, that's going to be key. The referee association committed to youth football.
Excellent. Thank you very much.